Loading.
Okay.
Hey, how are you guys doing? This is Shamika with Dear Shamika, and I have the beautiful Grace Givens with us today, and she will be answering some questions about, I guess, societal norms of being a classic woman in an ever changing society. So, Grace, first of all, happy International Women's Month. What does it mean to you to be a woman or to be feminine? Like, what's your definition of femininity?
To me, it's showing up as your authentic self. Uh, there are so many what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And to quote one of my colleagues, you shouldn't let anyone should on you. So it's showing up as your authentic self in every moment, in every interaction, and being intentional about those interactions and
Hmm.
always being aware of yourself is really what that energy is about, and showing up in that kind of I guess as people call it, that feminine energy kind of way.
Okay. So, as far as society is forever changing, and nowadays people, and of course, we respect everybody's choice to dress however they want to dress. Do you ever feel, or have you ever felt pressured to kind of down your standards as far as how you dress or how you carry yourself, or do you stand strong in how you carry yourself?
So I mean, I say just as any woman, you get to a point where you're like, am I doing too much? Am I not doing enough? Should I switch it up? Should I look like everybody else around me?
Hmm.
I'll say this: when I was younger, I didn't realize how I carried myself. It took
Hmm.
a little time for me to realize that this is how I enjoyed looking, dressing. I felt comfortable in this type of skin. And my college roommate, she was like, Grace, like your outfits, like the way you carry yourself, she's like, it's always put together. She's like, it's never too flashy. It's never, it's trendy, but it's just put together. And it was just, I realized that I like to look the way that I look, right? I
Hmm.
want to feel comfortable in my skin.
Hmm.
Um, I will say this: as far as pressure to look like or to consistently change my feel, there's always room for the switch up. All right. So,
Okay.
there's always room for the
I
switch
like
up. And
it.
I feel like, yeah, a part of being a woman is, having that fun, right? As
Hmm.
women, we're versatile, right? What we wear is versatile. Our hair is versatile. Our makeup can be versatile.
Hmm.
So, as long as you are comfortable in what you are doing and how you're presenting yourself, that's the most important part. And so in some things, I'm just not comfortable presenting myself in that way, if that makes sense. Like you said, everybody has a choice. That doesn't mean that another person isn't comfortable presenting themselves in that way. But if I want to, switch it up for this night or that night, or, whatever the case may be, that's always fun. That's always sometimes an exciting thing to do because of the versatility that we have as a woman. But as far as like the pressure to switch it, not
No.
really. Wanting to do something different for fun, sure. But never any pressure to want to look like or be like the things that I'll just say the media portrays us, sometimes to be and look like in a fashion that really is just a person kind of showing up as their authentic selves.
Okay. So let's say somebody didn't do. Okay, first let me get my questions together. So did you grow up in a household that promoted that classic look, or was it something you just grew into, or how did that emerge?
I definitely grew up in the house where that classic look was promoted. For any of you that know my mom, know my grandmothers, my aunts, if you know any of my family, you know that they don't step on any scene, with less than, less than a one, less than what a woman should look like, right?
Mhm.
They're going to be dressed to the T, shoes, purses. I also grew up in church, so I have that part of me that no matter what you do in life, that never goes away. It's kind of embedded in you and how you show up to any place. So I definitely grew up in a household where it wasn't necessarily about the modesty, but it was about, do you feel good? Do you look good? Do you look prepared for the event that you're attending? Are you appropriately dressed for what you're about to do? So, and then the men in my life as well, they were always suited. If it was casual, they had the linen suits, the shorts, how our uncles dressed with the hats and the
Yeah.
era that, I grew up in. And so I just never saw, my granddad wore Stacey Adams to cut the grass,
Mhm. Not
so
to cut the grass.
cut the grass. You hear me? Creased jeans and Stacey
Oh, I
Adams.
remember the creases.
So, those are the things. So I definitely grew up not only in a household, but in a family, in an environment, in a community that
Mhm,
everybody showed up, in their best for
mhm,
whatever the occasion may have been.
mhm. And you said you grew up in a household with men. So do you attribute men, I guess, coming and treating you a certain way to you having a different expectation for men than maybe other women who may not have male role models in their lives? Or so
Yeah,
you think that
absolutely.
attributes to the respect as well?
Absolutely. How my aunts treated my uncles. I mean, how my
Mm.
uncles treated my aunts. I said that backwards. How my uncles,
No worries.
how my grandfather treated
Mm.
my grandmother, even my great uncles, how they treated their wives. My cousins, how they treat their wives, even now in our age. We're all older now. Cousins are married, and I see how they treat their wives, and I understand that there is a way that interaction should happen. And be it me, I'm gonna ask. you know, is it always like this? Is it this great? And if you get around the aunties, they tell you the truth. They'll, say, honey, it's like this, or honey, it's like that. But your uncle did this, or your uncle did that, or your dad did this, So growing up, I did have those role models that, showed you that this is the way that a woman should be treated. And that you present yourself in a certain way to get the kind of response that you're looking for. Right.
Mhm.
So that's definitely something I saw in the male role models in my life.
Okay. Because you are so respected, and I've seen it for myself. But because you're so respected by people, do you ever attract jealousy, or have you ever attracted jealousy from others that weren't necessarily treated the same way as you? And could you give an example, if so?
Well, first I want to say, having your respect, I appreciate it. Like I said, I appreciate when a person says that they think that you are respected and that they respect you. So
I
first, I
remember,
appreciate it.
let me tell the viewers. So I remember me and Grace went to middle school together. So I just remember she just had this persona about herself that commanded respect, but it wasn't disrespectful. It wasn't loud. It just was what it was. It was a calmness. It was a kindness. Like you've never been. I wasn't the coolest person. And let me say that. I wasn't, but
I wasn't either, though. I felt that I
I
wasn't.
don't think you thought
So
you were. You were a cool person. Everyone loved you because and you didn't waver who you were. And that's something I admired about you. You never changed who you were to try to fit into what everyone else, like, because a lot of people, you're growing up, you're still figuring things out, and then it's easy to pick on others to try to leverage yourself. Unwavering niceness, like you just, I mean, it just was like you've always been a kind-hearted person. So when I thought of, acting like a lady, Grace,
well, I
I
mean,
mean,
like
you've been that way since I can remember. I always dressed nicely.
thank my mom and dad for that one. We didn't get jobs until we got old.
They did a great job praising you. I mean, hair was always nice. Always carried yourself like a young lady, and people treated you like you were a young lady. But at that time, you don't understand. You just think it is what it is. But it's because you carried yourself in a certain manner.
Yeah.
So back to the question, like, did you ever get like, was anybody ever jealous of the fact, like, why is she getting treated like that? And could you give an example of a time as to when?
Um, the first time that I genuinely remember was actually in elementary school, and that's over the
Wow.
years I've reflected back, right,
Hmm.
to getting treated a particular way, and then someone saying something about how I was treated. When we were in middle school, it happened, and there was a particular person who, as we would now say, was coming for me, and I didn't understand.
Not
Right?
that
And I
we
know I'm not even.
drive.
I'm not going to say names. You know who you went
Of
to school with.
course, like
You can
they
pick
probably
whoever you
know in
want,
your
right?
heart of hearts you will remember how they treated you.
You
They,
can pick whoever you want. It's fine.
but you were the
They
nicest.
came for me. They
Why?
did. I want to tell you who gave me wisdom, Miss Pryor. God rest her dear soul.
I
And
loved
she
her.
took me in the hallway and she said what you're saying. She was like, Grace, people will look at you, they will look at your life, not knowing that we're
And then
all
you're
here
beautiful too,
together.
right? On top of your humbleness. So yeah.
Oh, I did. I experienced it. I learned in the 8th grade that everybody's life is different and that
Yeah.
people will react to you based on what's going on at home. And I carried her wisdom of telling me that from that day till this day. Even now, when I engage with people and I feel like it's a weird interaction, my first thought is, what's going on at their house? There's
Mm,
a reason that they're acting like this. And what I found is that people judge you a lot of times based on the thing that they want to be, right? So if I met somebody and they were doing something that I wanted to do, and if I felt that thing creep up in me, I realized, I paused and said, you know what? It's probably because I want to do that. And I
mm,
want to see how they do it and I want to glean from them. And so over the years, I just learned to glean versus being jealous. But it was because of somebody. Definitely experienced it. And Miss
mhm,
Pryor gave me that wisdom in the hallway. I'll never forget that moment.
mhm,
I probably would have been a different kind of person if it had not been for her in that moment with that interaction.
mhm. And like you stated previously, you grew up in a strong household. So as kids, some kids will be envious because we're still figuring it out. And this person looks like they have it all together. So now I don't like you. And also you're nice. So I'm gonna pick at you because I feel like you're not gonna do anything. So it makes you, although, you wouldn't think, it makes you a target. And then it's people like her. So I don't like, it may be somebody I likes Grace because she's not only is she beautiful, because anybody can be beautiful, but to be elegant and ladylike and soft spoken, you know, that's a whole different dynamic. What advice would you give to younger girls who may not have the household or family dynamic that you have, that want to be more feminine and want to walk into in their femininity, but they just don't know how, or they don't know what respect looks like?
As I said in the beginning, you want to be your authentic self.
Hmm.
So to my siblings, of course, with the people that I'm a little bit closer to, I talk a whole lot more. A whole lot more. I express my opinions. I express my thoughts. I'm going to defend the people that I love, right? So
Mm.
they do see a little bit more passion and a bit of a different, I don't want to use the word aggression, but definitely I'm going to be there in that moment. I'm going to bring my full self, in those types of moments where you need to show up a little bit less soft spoken, right?
Mhm.
A little bit less calm. I have that within me. But when I do, the thing about it is you have to be aware of what
Mhm.
it is that you're doing. I realize that the people that I respect always show up consistently. So that's my first piece of advice. Know who you are, be aware, and consistently be that person,
Mhm.
right? Up, down, sideways, big, bad, ugly, valley, mountain. Be that person. Um, Find what you like and don't like, and be honest about it. If I don't like a thing, a place, a person, whatever it is, I'm going to be honest about it. They're going to know how I feel about it, and I'm going to respect them in that space. And I'll take the time to listen to them so they can tell me what they feel about it as well. And we can find, if not a compromise, definitely a middle, way there, right?
Mhm.
But be honest about it and don't play a lady, right? Oh, that's fine. Oh, that's good. I did not like that. That made me feel this way, right? And
Okay.
you should not do that. And we call that boundaries these days. That's what we call it.
Air
I
quotes.
just called it telling you what I liked and what I didn't like.
Yeah.
Be
So be
honest,
honest,
be
but
honest about it
respectfully honest.
and respectfully honest.
Mhm.
Know that everything doesn't need to be said,
Mhm.
right? And being aware of when your voice is needed and when your voice is not needed, right? I think I hear a lot of people say this, we're, especially as Black women, we're loud, we're opinionated, we're this and we're that and the other. And I say to all of it, you're just intimidated because you're not ready to hear the truth.
Right.
That's totally fine. But guess what I'm never going to do is disrespect you so that you feel the way that you're trying to make me feel, right? So it's all about staying true in that space, no matter what a person's saying or throwing at you. And I think the last piece is, even when you feel like you doubt yourself,
Mm.
and that the person who you know yourself to be, you feel like it's not enough.
Mm.
You feel like people may not appreciate it and or respect it or value it. Um, even if you feel alone or loneliness, just know that who you are is always enough. And the reason that I say that is I think that's the thing that makes people show up as a different person, right? As the person who gets a lot of attention or the person who gets, pats on the back, and then you try to show up as that person. But we need,
Wow, yeah, that definitely makes sense.
yeah.
Not walking in your truth and learning who you are as a person, but looking at, oh, people, like for instance, people like flowers. So I think I like flowers. I want flowers, but not necessarily knowing whether it's so get to know you and
Mhm.
show up as that person.
And I like flowers, but I have allergies.
Right. So
And they are serious. It is some serious stuff. So if you send me flowers to my house, or for whatever reason, I'm just gonna grab my Benadryl. I'm
you
gonna
still don't take the flowers.
listen.
Oh,
I'm gonna take the flowers because I feel like any person who goes out and does anything for you, they spend any kind of money
yeah.
or time on you, you should be grateful, even if it's
Mhm.
not for the thing that you asked for. That's their money and that's their time, and you should be 100% grateful. I'm gonna take my Benadryl, or sometimes I leave them at my mom's house, and I'll just go see them at her house, or I'll leave them at my sister's house because I can't keep them in the house, or I'll be, puffy eyed and scratchy throat for until they're gone. So,
So we talked about boundaries since we're on flowers. Dating as a lady.
whew,
Do you feel like it's harder or why do you
absolutely.
say that?
Oh man. Now, Shamika, this is a
Are
whole
you
other
less
podcast.
are you less approachable because it's like, oh, I don't, I'm scared
I,
of her.
I did. I felt like that. I felt like that growing up. I felt like that in high
I can
school.
see that.
I felt
I
like
can
that
see
in high
that
school.
though.
And I would tell myself, it's okay. When they decide they want to be with somebody who's like me, then I'll be the person that they come and find.
Mhm.
That's what because I knew that I wasn't, like any, other people. I just, I knew that I, took that in. But even as an
Accepted.
adult, I've had well-established men, intelligent men to tell me that they were intimidated, and that they really didn't know how to approach, or that they felt intimidated by this part or that part of me. And I
Mhm.
did for a little while try to make myself seem as regular as possible. I had
I
this
don't see that.
conversation.
I don't see that.
I
How?
tried. I
I
had this
cannot see
conversation with
you
somebody less than a week ago, and I was like, they
what
were
are you
telling me,
wearing? Like, oh,
I'm
see,
wearing regular clothes. Look, I'm gonna be comfortable. I'm a
yeah,
sweatsuit
but your
girl.
hair is always nice, and you just look like you have that look.
I
Unless you just
can
don't.
be a sweatsuit girl. I'm a sweat. If you look, I'm a flip
But you,
flop
bro, look
fitted
classy in your
sweatsuit
swimsuit. That's
girl.
how like, who is this?
Listen,
And then
because
I think,
it's how you show up. It's if you show up in that sweatsuit and it's classy, it doesn't matter.
yeah,
You gonna be
I
classy
can
in a
see
sweatsuit.
why they're because we live in Memphis. First, no disrespect to anyone in Memphis, but certain people, like even of course, when we went to middle school and things like that, I wanted to fit into who you should be. But
Yep.
as I grew into myself, I'm totally different than I was in middle school, high school. I'm not the same person. So it may be the conversation, like you're well spoken, you're soft spoken, you dress like a
Sometimes.
lady, you carry yourself like a woman. So you're not yelling, no disrespect
No.
to anyone who has those traits, but it may be, wow, I'm used to talking to a different type of woman. And then you have a classic look. So it's like you ain't just splashing people out here. So they probably like, like, this is somebody that may be a potential wife. I'm scared to
Always.
approach her.
That is that I get that more than anything. And one of the scary things about that, Shamika, is that you become the type of person that a man is looking for, right? Or the
Mhm.
type of person that a partner is looking for. But then do you know me? Right?
Mm.
Do you know that I'm not gonna always have this perfect,
Wow.
that
So
you'll
so
see me
they
in a messy bun, like
ah,
it becomes it's this like I know I fit the type, but do you know Grace, who loves to crack corny jokes, right? Who has a kind of a dark sense of humor, right? I'm really sarcastic. It can be a little dry sometimes. And are you going to be okay with, with that? So
ah.
it does. It creates that issue as well where, yeah, I'm the quote unquote, as people like to say, wifey type, but am I your wife? Am I your girlfriend? Do you like me as a human being and not just as the type of woman that you can see managing a household or garnering children or, all those types of things?
So that becomes an issue because they're not. Is it one of those things where it's like, I just want you to have the kids and run the household, and I'm not looking forward to, like, we don't have to like each other. Like,
it's not that we don't have to like each other, because it sounds a little boisterous when I say this, and I'm saying this in the most humble way possible. It's not that they don't like me, or they're not infatuated, or whatever word you want to use right there. But I'll give this example. I dated a guy for a while. He was an absolute gentleman, right? Always kind, always respectful. And we had been dating for about a year or two. And I never had an issue with him, never had a problem. And things were starting to get serious. And we were in the car one day and he was like, "Are you hungry?" And I was like, "Sure." He was like, "Well, I'll order you a burger because I know you love burgers." And I was like, "I don't love burgers.
Where did you get that from?
Who thought?" And as this conversation ensued, I don't know what made it click, but he was like, "Well, I thought we liked all the same things." And I was like,
For a whole year?
I realized that this is what guys talk about. I'll say this. When guys talk about, if I can just be a man, she'll be a woman. He was being a man. So I could be a woman. So most of the stuff, I didn't care. If you brought me food, that's fine. I'll eat it. You know what I'm saying? And we just went along. And I realized that in all this time, he really hadn't gotten to know me. Right?
That's a long time.
It was a long time. Right? And I don't know what made it click in my head. Right? Now, mind you, we weren't seriously dating for 2 years. We had, we started talking, and then it got serious within those 2 years. I'll say that. So 2 years sounds like a long time, but the first little while was like getting to know each other, hanging out, doing all that kind of stuff.
At least you weren't a vegetarian. That would have been real bad.
Oh, he thought we liked all the same things. He would suggest something. I was like, "Cool, let's go." That's fine. That's cool. He never said anything that I objected to. And so I realized that he liked me being that passive person, right? Just going with the flow, just being there. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm not 100% that passive person.
Wow.
And so that kind of thing happened. It was that relationship, or that dating, that woke me up and was like, I need to always present my real self right from the beginning, and so that you can see that. If not, I'll end up in a situation where, like that, you're ready to get married, have children, buy a house, do all that stuff, and I'm like, but I like watching silly movies, and I like Disney, and I like sci-fi, and like, this is my favorite show, and none of those things because you've wifey typed me into that particular role.
Wow. I never thought about that. So, wow. Like, somebody puts you in a type box and they don't know you at all. They just know how you dress and how you present yourself.
So I made sure to have those deep conversations with anybody, in regards to that. Let's talk about this up front. What are you watching? What do you like? What do you, and I had to, like I said, be real with myself about what I liked and didn't like. I mean, I'll eat a burger, but not every day. Like,
that's right.
I have a problem with hot wings. I'm from Memphis, I could be doing a whole cleanse.
I know that's right.
Present me with some hot wings, it's a problem. I'm going to eat those wings.
Yes.
So
BJ
knows that about me, stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, it's not burgers for me, it's wings. It always has been, So
he was from Memphis.
He's from Memphis, but
Come on, brother.
Listen, he
likes
wings too,
but not better than burgers.
Yeah, not better than. That was his thing. So it was just moments like that kind of helped me date different, right? And present myself differently and make sure that I wasn't being typed, into that kind of, place.
Is there, like, I know you got standards. Is there a specific, I know you do. So are there specific, like, you like, like, don't even come, like, is there specific behavior that you're like, do not even approach me with it? Or we had a dating segment where we talked about millennial dating. Are there certain men that just don't approach you because it's like, she's classy? Oh, so
I've had to tell me, now it's the DM, right? It used to be phone conversations and text messages. So
Good
that
old
would
days.
be like, I've always admired you or this, that, and the other, but I never thought you would date a guy like me. And in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, so what's a guy like you? So who's a girl like me? And
Did you ask them or you let it go?
in some instances I did. In some instances I did. And it was more when I was discovering that was happening more oftentimes than not, because I wanted them to know, even if it's not me that you end up with, if you run into another person who reminds you of this type of woman, you may be exactly what she needs, rough around the edges and all, right? You may be exactly what she needs, but because she presents herself this way, you don't approach. And you got two people who should be walking together, walking two different paths in life, and you should be connected. So I, for a little while, I would always engage those conversations. The older I get, I didn't always engage, but I got that a lot. I'm this type of guy, that type of guy, and you would want, this type of life. And I'm like, well, at least let me find
what
out
type of life.
I don't sometimes. Well, we are in Memphis. I love my Memphians.
What kind of activity y'all got going on?
We have a myriad.
I can't believe they said that in your inbox. Like that's
yeah. Crazy. I mean, and it sometimes, like I said, sometimes I would ask, and sometimes I would not.
You just let it go.
I would let it go. But I realized that if you think that I don't want to talk to you, it's because there's something in you that makes you feel like you're not enough. Because I never said that you weren't enough. I never said that you weren't good enough for in me. And who am I to say that a person isn't good enough? To know, even just to get to know somebody. I just don't.
With their cases, I think in some cases people know they are no good, and they know you can decipher, oh, he's no good. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, I'm not even going to try to waste her time because she's going to figure me out, versus let me waste this girl's time and let me, do her this way.
And I can appreciate if you're not ready for a relationship. Now, an honest man, listen, tell me, if you got stuff going on, you got situations and circumstances, as the church say, trials and tribulations, you got things going on, and you don't have space for a new person, that I understand. But just being a type of person, and you think you're a type of person, that's the part where I disconnect. And I'm like, well, let's make sure, But if you really got situations, I can understand it. Because if it were me and I had situations, I didn't want anybody, I would do the same thing. I'm not ready for a relationship, whatever the case may be. And I can respect that 100%. But, just saying because you think I'm a type of person, then I'm unapproachable then. That's the part. It was a little disappointing. I'll say that,
Yeah.
What kind of vibe am I off,
You don't want this, like, what?
It's like, I don't want to seem bougie. I don't want to seem stuck up. I don't want to seem, like, take me off the pedestal. Like, I'm flat foot on the ground just like you, and I didn't want to seem like I was that type of, girl or woman, I should say at this point, because, we're grown.
But it is amazing how you do well. I haven't seen you in years, but I just remember how it was in school, like people opening doors, like, because a lot of women wonder, like, why don't men do this for me, or why don't they do this, when it's more so of, from you, it seems like it's more so the way you carry yourself. So the way you carry yourself could impact whether or not people are treating you a certain way.
It does.
And they don't understand that, because of course we live in Memphis. I feel like we push the wrong narratives. Like we push, I don't know if you've ever, I'm sure you've heard, I'm hard on them, I don't show no love. Like we push those narratives. And the reason that I wanted Grace on this show is you can be feminine, you can be soft-spoken, and you can still be, it's power in your femininity, and don't give it away because somebody hurt you, or you feel like in order for me to not be hurt, I have to act hard, or I have to act, tough. You don't have to act that way. Yeah, you actually will respect from presenting yourself as a lady.
You can draw your lines without seeming hard and tough, and people give us a hard time. I will say that. Women like me, you, Shamika, we know what we're doing, right? We're going after it, right? We're standing on our own, and we dare not say that we're independent, that automatically means that I say I don't need a man. And I have made it one of my not necessarily life missions, but to kind of, tear that down. Being independent means that I'm a human being who has to eat and I have to have somewhere to live. And the only
Absolutely.
person that's going to do that is me. I'm not waiting around for someone to feed me and house me. I'm just a human being trying to survive. That is what makes me independent, because I'm doing it with my own two hands, with my brains, with my talent, with my gift, with my skills that I've acquired. Now, then it translates into I don't need a man, but nobody ever said that. I just said I needed to eat, and I just needed a place to live.
Absolutely.
I just wanted
Because
to
if
be
you
able
ask
to
them
take
for
care of
something to eat,
myself.
then you're a gold digger.
Yes. And what gold? What gold could I have not dug with my own two hands? And then it comes down to this place where you get that woman who sounds hard, but really what she's saying is I woke up every day, and when I didn't have anybody to do it for me, I did it, right? I'm living, I'm eating, I'm breathing. And I'm not saying that I don't want and or need a partner or a relationship. I'm saying this part is okay. Now, there are so many other things on Maslow's hierarchy of needs that I need.
Yes. Come on, hierarchy. A
know,
psychology major, so yes.
I said I knew you would appreciate that because of that. There are so many
Yes.
other things I need besides food and shelter to feel
Yes.
loved and safe and secure. And those are the types of things that you want in a relationship. And I could never be an independent and make my way up that scale. It's impossible to be an independent woman in the way that people say, and make my way, up that scale to feeling loved and protected and secure. So, I mean, I'm going to supply my basic needs no matter what, right? But that doesn't make me this rough, tough, independent woman, because I'm not asking you to pay this mortgage, or that my car is paid for, right? Or that
Yes. Come on, car payments.
I'm making it happen every day, at work, and I'm garnering the respect of my colleagues. That doesn't mean all of that. I still need to come home to this, or out to eat to that, or time spent, where you get those other needs met in life. So women, when we say that we're making it happen, we are not being hard. We are not, you know what I'm saying? We're
We
not.
have to do what we have to do, not only because we have to, but a lot of us enjoy, like I enjoy what I do. So, we do what we do because we love what we do. It's not to make anyone feel not needed, but if you enjoy what you do, you just, like Nike says, you just do
Just
it.
do it. And you're proud of yourself, man. Sometimes I pull up, I get home, and I am just overly grateful. And I think to myself, man, this little old girl who went to Havenview, this little old girl who graduated from Whitehaven, I'm standing on my own 2 feet, right? And you
Doing
can't.
well.
There's a level of humble pride, humble pride, that builds up, and you go, man, I'm so grateful because I did this, like I actually accomplished this. And so, man, that's not being hard. That's just being a human that's out here living life and making it happen. Now, you get on the other side of things where people are bashing and, doing all those types of things. That's a whole other conversation. But man, me just saying, I got it, I can take care of it. I can. It's not a lie. So, that women pushing that narrative of being hard and I'm hard on them and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's a different type of mindset. That is not the independent woman. That's a woman.
It is. It's just
all that stuff on top.
That's toxic, and it's toxic hurt. Is you trying to cover up your hurt, and it doesn't help. Like, you can be hard on them, but if you care about somebody and they leave you and stop dealing with you, it's gonna hurt regardless.
Yep.
Which brings me to my next question. So I've heard this, and I'm pretty sure you've heard this. I want to know, do you hear, or how often do you hear, why aren't you married yet? And how does that make you feel? Like, are you annoyed by the question? Are you flattered by the question? Like,
both.
It
depends on who's asking. It depends on who's asking. So it's absolutely both. If it's my auntie asking, it might be a little annoyance, right? If it's a nice, handsome, intelligent young black man,
Come on
I'm
now.
a, I'm a little flattered, right? Because he thinks, okay, you should, where's your life partner? You seem like the type of person who will be able to have a long-term relationship like this. So
Yes.
that's a bit of flattery for me. Like I said,
Yeah.
my auntie asking is a little something different.
It's like, come on now.
So yeah, it's both, and um. I know that people's life choices and circumstances and situations lead them to the point where they are. I've resolved within myself that I wouldn't just marry anybody to be marrying someone.
Mm.
I've seen and witnessed, other people's marriages, their ups and downs, their triumphs. I've seen some very strong women overcome some terrible circumstances.
Mhm.
And because I'm an empath, I can feel sometimes their pain, the things that they're struggling through when it comes to those relationships. And I just decided that I would not marry just to marry,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
if it's not going to be right, and if it's not going to work, I'm not going to put myself in a situation to be, torn down and destroyed, just for the sake of saying that, I've been married or I am
Right.
married. And that if I'm going to do that with somebody and it's going to get hard, it's going to be the person that will stick with me and I'll stick with them through the hard times. As one of my friends said, we can argue about it. I can leave the house and I'm going to come back with a box of chicken and we're going to sit down and talk about it. That's what he said. He
Mhm.
talks about, how he wants his marriage to look and how things should feel. So I don't mind going through the ups and downs with the person, going through with the person, but I don't want to be destroyed by a person because I married a person that was good for my present, but not good for my future,
That's
right? Not good
brilliant.
for the person that I'm going to become or evolve into. So that's why I said it's flattery when a man asks it. My auntie, you know,
Your auntie, you like auntie.
what? They all got married when they were in their 20s, right?
Mhm.
But you're also talking about, like I said, women like us, we've gone to college. And,
Mhm.
some people got married in college. I have a cousin, they
Oh,
got
a
married
lot of
after
people got
graduation,
married in
and there's
college.
nothing wrong with it. It just is what it is. It'll happen when it happens. It just, so yeah, it's definitely both when that question comes up, for sure.
Oh, and
Definitely.
this is my last question, Grace, but stick around after I end the video because I do have to ask you another question. What just give some empowerment. I just have, you know, to ask, give some empowerment to someone or women who are wanting to be more feminine or wanting to be I don't know what the word would be. Just act like a lady, but they're afraid because they don't want anyone to run over them.
That's the key part. No one to run over you. Uh, One is we know a lot, but we do not know everything. And so the thing that's most important is that you shake off those things that other people have told you that you are, and you remove those labels that other people have decided that belongs to you, whatever kind of statistic that may be, or whatever your family line may look like. And you think that that's how my life is supposed to be. 100% that is a lie. So all the things you don't know are the things that you need to be grasping for, right? The things that you have not experienced, the things that you have not seen, the things that you have not heard. Those are the things that shape your future.
Mhm.
So if I could encourage or empower any woman to do anything to become the human being that she's supposed to be, is to never ever take on a label that someone has given you, especially if it's not out of love. That's one. And two, if they've given you a label out of hate, you don't have to hate them. You don't have to become bitter. You don't have to become angry. It's because they don't have love. And that's why they're giving you that ugly label. So,
Mhm.
what you have to do is you shake that label off. You show love in every way that you can. You protect your peace. You set your boundaries and you go after those things about you and the world that you don't know. And then you watch yourself daily, weekly, yearly, decades evolve into the human being, not even the one that you plan to become or that you see yourself becoming, but the one that you're purposed in becoming. That's the most important thing. We make a lot of plans. We lay out a whole lot of charts and graphs, or however you make your plans and lists of what we think we ought to become, I can stand here and say that my life looks absolutely nothing like the plan that I made when I graduated from Whitehaven High School in 2004. But I would not regret, give in, throw away the woman that I have evolved and become. Right? Um, it's not going to be easy. You will cry, you will be upset, you will make mistakes, you will have those things you don't want to tell anybody. It's all about being aware of those moments. And when you are in those moments, being honest with yourself about who you really are, what it is that you've taken on, what it is you need to throw out, and then everything that you do after those mistakes, after those pitfalls, those are the moments that drive you into your purpose. And this is the last thing I'll say. A lot of times when we think about hard times, we call it a storm. And I know there's a really cool TikTok audio out. You know, everybody, if you're churchy, for sure, you know, it says the storm is passing over. You know, it won't be long now. One of the things that I've learned in life is sometimes the storm comes to carry you because the water moves a little bit heavier and a little bit faster when the winds start to blow. And it'll get you across to the other side of the river or down a little bit further on that path because the storm and the wind is pushing you there. So don't always avoid the storm. Don't take to your vices when the storm comes. But sometimes you need to ride that storm out because it's going to take you to a place that you need to be in so that you can become that purposeful person that you should be in life.
Teachable moments. Yes.
Teachable moments. Shamika, they're everything. They're hard. They're ugly sometimes. They're ugly a lot of times.
They are, but I read this quote and it was like the reason you keep going through the test is because you haven't learned the lesson.
Yep.
So if you haven't learned the lesson and stuff keeps repeating in your life, it's because God is trying to teach you something.
Yep.
Once you pass that test, you will move on to the next level within your life.
That's right.
You got to pass the test first. So life is like a big test. But like Grace said previously, once you pass, it feels good. It feels good to accomplish things. So you just got to pass the test.
Pass the test. Ride that storm out. Look, get your surfboard, let those waves be rough, and ride it all the way out until it gets to the end. Eventually, the storm will pass. And I think a lot of times, even when you think about like the water, when the water washes up on the seashore, it leaves seashells behind, right? When the water washes up, it leaves things behind. And like I said, we miss that because we run from the storms, we run from the tests. When they are meant a lot of times to wash us and to carry us and to wash things up that we didn't have before and to present opportunities that we wouldn't have had if the storm had never come. So yeah, just don't let it make you become bitter. Don't let it make you angry. For those of you that are believers, hold on to your faith, right? It's your higher power, whatever it is that you attribute your faith to. Like, don't let that go and don't let anybody take it from you.
Great. Look, Grace, I wish we're going to have to talk. Hey, you guys, say bye, Grace. I'm going to have to talk to her off camera because we got plans for Grace. If she agrees to be on the show again, she's going to be on the show.
Of course.
Yeah, in part, like, because we do tape in person. But say bye, Grace. We're going to end this, but stick around.
Bye.